Hello, good morning, good afternoon. It's Sue Adkins here, International Director for Business in the Community. Lydia Parnell and Laura Banoga, all from Business in the Community, and we are absolutely delighted that you have joined us for our webinar for the CSR360 Global Partner Network on creating lasting impact through employee volunteering. I know this is an area that everybody is very familiar with working on, and there's much to learn from each of us. And we look forward to a really engaging, valuable session in the next hour or so. Just a couple of housekeeping points for everybody. Please, could you make sure that you mute your phones? That would be really helpful. Should you wish to ask any questions during the course of the webinar, please use the question chat tab or the chat tab on the main screen and type any questions that you wish to ask at any time, and we will take the questions at the very end after everybody has presented. But as I say, please do type in your questions using the question chat tab or the chat tab at any time, and we'll pick up these questions as we get to the end of the webinar after everybody's presentation. And if we don't get to answer everybody's questions, don't worry, we'll answer them after the event. So thank you again very much for joining us, and we look forward to an exciting and informative session. I was just going to start the session by talking about how community investment has evolved over the years. Some of us on the call have been involved in this agenda for a very long time, and we'll have seen how things have moved from philanthropy through to strategic or community investment, through to strategic community investment and long-term strategic partnerships and investment again, and how increasingly it's become more about not just general volunteering, but actually skilled and expert volunteering, and the importance of monitoring and measuring and evaluating input, output, and impact, with an increasing emphasis on impact. This has been the trajectory we have seen over the last 20 or more years, as people have been developing their approach to community investment all around the world. And it's been so important to make sure, increasingly, that we have clear targets, clear objectives, clear commitments, clear measurement of inputs, outputs, and impacts, all of which help to build the credibility, transparency, and trust of the organizations that are participating, and helps value the input that so many people are making and appreciating the contributions that they are all making. So, having understood the development of community investment around the world, and every country in the world is maybe developing at a slightly different rate, but everyone is going on the same trajectory, where increasingly today it's about input, output, and impact. And that's one of the things we particularly want to focus on today. So without further ado, I'm handing over now to Lydia Parnell, one of the team here, who is the Program Manager for International Community Investment and manages the CSR360 Global Partner Network. So thank you. Over to you, Lydia.
Thank you so much, Sue. As Sue kindly described, the point of this session is to make sure that we all come together to look at actually what are the new trends going on in community investment, and particularly with an emphasis on employee volunteering as one of the tools that you can use when seeing how businesses can work more effectively in their communities. Employee volunteering for a long time with Business in the Community and with the CSR360 Global Partner Network has been tremendously successful under the Give and Gain Day brand. And we've also had very similar successes and growing successes with our Engage Key Cities program. And we're delighted today, as you'll see from the agenda, that we have a range of organizations who are going to talk about their participation within those programs, but more generally about their approach to effective employee volunteering and how they ensure that they have the greatest impact to make the biggest positive and most sustainable changes to the communities that they're in. So I'm going to start off just with a little bit about our perspective from Business in the Community on how we look at community investment and employee volunteering and the steps we take, and sharing that with you as a reference. And with those, we've looked at what people have done in previous years on Give and Gain, sort of bring to life some of the points that we'll be talking about, and then we'll be moving on to hear from a range of different organisations from across our CSR360 Global Partner Network. And I really hope, not being the most technically savvy person, that it works well. So do bear with us, because we are not yet. None of us are Bill Gates here, so we will try. So business in the community for a long time has used our 5 principles of community investment to guide and to frame the work that we do within our communities. And they're incredibly simple, and I know that all of you across the CSR360 Global Partner Network do go through these stages when you're looking at how to best plan and manage your employee volunteering. You know, number 1, identifying the real need within the community, be that youth unemployment, be that looking at health inequality, or looking at environmental issues that affect your community. And that is something that we put tremendous effort into really speaking with the community groups that we work with, and looking at trying to get to grips of what is it that is holding them back to be sustainable. And that comes with itself in working in partnerships. That's point number 2, actually having a very open and very honest dialogue with the community groups that you're working with, to make sure that actually what you do together is as valuable to them as it is for the businesses, and there's a mutual benefit between the 2 organisations as well as yourself, and that both organisations feel equal partners within the community investment and employee volunteering opportunities that they do together for their employees. Number 3, planning and managing your work using appropriate resources, really thinking about what is the most effective way of us as an organisation, us with our business network, tackling this problem. And employee volunteering often is a brilliant and fantastic solution, and we have examples of what that could look like. But sometimes, as we'll look through briefly, that there might be other ways, as well as employee volunteering, that a business could support its communities. And so we'll be touching on that slightly. Inspire and engaging employees, customers, and I put employees twice. So twice over is it important to engage your employees, everyone? They are the people who are fundamentally doing the doing. They're the ones who give up their time to go out into their communities and really give back their skills, their time, their expertise. And it's a great opportunity for employee engagement, as well as it is for them learning huge amounts about their own skills and about their communities and potentially about their customers. And then something that Sue mentioned as well, as an organisation, we are increasingly looking at how do we measure the impact as well as the output and the input. And we'll go on to what we mean by impact, but really measuring what is that change that we're seeing within our communities as a result of the interventions that we've had. So how do you invest in your communities? As I mentioned before, organised employee volunteering is a key way of businesses going out into their communities and giving something positive for a sustained change. And what we like to see in business in the community, and what so many of our partners are doing across the different countries they work in, is they're looking at the best skills that the businesses have to see actually whether they could provide expertise in their particular field. It can be quite difficult, especially in the UK, we don't get many sunny days. And so employees wanting to go out and do gardening activities together, or painting, or whatever it might be, tremendous value to the communities they work with, and it's a great experience for the individuals involved. But sometimes they might have more sustained and more effective impact if they were to use some of the skills that they had day-to-day, be that supporting on IT systems, being it in finance, whatever it might be. It is a difficult conversation sometimes to have, but it's often a much more worthwhile one. So other things investing in your communities. Financial donations. Many of our partners support businesses to actually give in kind and do fundraising in-house for finance, or as I touched on, in-kind donations, so looking at what resources and tangible assets you have to be able to share with others. And then cause-related marketing, a great opportunity to really showcase the work that organisations are doing in their communities and give them a profile that on their own they wouldn't necessarily be able to achieve for greater impact with their own client base. So just a few thoughts there. I've put together, say, Principle 1 and Principle 2 within our 5. So that's identifying the need and working in partnership with your community. As many of you who've been on our calls before will have known, and many of the conversations we're having with all of you are around, is really the Sustainable Development Goals. They are a phenomenal framework that really stretch the breadth of the issues that we are facing on a global scale. But what we have seen, and quite rightly, is that organisations are looking at, well, what one or two Sustainable Development Goals are applicable to my community? What are the real things that is, out of all of them, the challenges that our community is facing? And the Sustainable Development Goals enables us all to not only look and focus on those particular needs, but also having it in a context of what is going on globally and being able to join a global narrative. And so we found it tremendously helpful working with our businesses to really show that as a result of their work, they are focusing on number 1, no poverty, number 2, zero hunger, whatever it might be, to give them a sense of what they are contributing to on a wider scale. The other thing that we're looking at in business in the community, and many of you are aware of these, is community conversations. So that's really bringing together community organisations, businesses, and the third sector, the government sector and institutions to consider what are the challenges that community organisations are facing today, what are the needs that they really have, and what can businesses and government offer that in a local area to meet those needs. It's a very open, creating an open and safe space to discuss those things can sometimes be challenging, but we do have resources that our colleagues here are using if that was something that you wanted to share. So really about knowledge sharing between the two. And we had some lovely examples in terms of identifying the need from Dubai Chamber in Give and Gain 2016, who worked with a range of their different partners to look at exactly the stuff that they needed. So they looked at working on crafts with children with disabilities, tree planting within an environmental conserve, doing a stationery drive, and doing an innovation camp day with university students. So a range of different things specific to the needs of those organisations. I'm already realising that I'm running out of time, but we have here a slide that again, all the slides will be shared with you, but this is a slide of a tools that we use to, when we're having a conversation with community organisations, what specifically are the challenges that they're facing, and therefore what are the things that maybe businesses could support on. Briefly then, when looking to plan and manage community projects, I mentioned this before, but really what are the products, services, skills and expertise that the businesses that you're working with have that the community groups may not? You'll see on the right there, we have an example, a lovely picture from CADS Argentina, who did Give and Gain in 2016. And they actually worked with a cable company, electrical company called Cablevision, to put in a lot of cable networks that meant that the local hospital had access to the internet, they had access to lighting, they were able to actually, people who were very vulnerable, very isolated in such a difficult time in their life now could better communicate and be a part of the outside world that before that they couldn't. And that was because the organisation looked specifically at the skills that company had, and then again looked at what they could do to help, and found a specific project. And we're delighted that we've got CADS Argentina and the representatives from them today on the call. Ensuring your volunteers are inspired as well. Internal communications are key. Having employees who are volunteers to share the things that they've learned, share the opportunities that they've had, to actually inspire others to do the same is really key as well. And using the opportunities that you create as a way of looking at skills. How do you support a volunteer organisation? This is just a menu of different options that we look at when we're thinking about what would be the most appropriate use of an employee volunteer's time. That can be things from one-day team challenges, right the way down to the bottom right there on secondments. So looking at if an individual has specific skills around finance or legal support or marketing maybe or CRM systems, that actually they're there with the community group for a period of time to share that expertise and capacity build on that community. Very finally, before we move on to our first partner speaker, the last thing, and this is something that I've mentioned, that Sue's mentioned, is about measuring and evaluating and how important it is to capture impact. Impact, as we've mentioned, is about what change have you seen in the communities that you're working with as a result of the investment that has been taken. So how many students are now able to increase their grades in school as a result of continued mentoring by employee volunteers? That sort of thing, actually looking at the change, the long-term change in the individual beneficiaries' lives and the community's lives as a result of the number of hours that employees have volunteered, or the amount of money that equated to, is going one step beyond. But it is incredibly difficult, and hearing your thoughts and hearing the thoughts that we will do in a moment, and from all of our partners about how they manage, how they identify the need, how they manage and evaluate, and make sure that what they're doing is effective, is what we'll be going on to now. And it is incredibly, I've seen all the slides, they're incredibly insightful, and I hope you found mine just as interesting as you will in the future ones.
Thank you very much, Lydia. That was a really good exploration of our approach to community investment here in the UK that we've shared with many of you in the past. We just thought it'd be helpful to take you through, and that was a great illustration of that. Thank you, Lydia. But now we want to move on to Foretica. Raphael and Beatrice from Foretica, who have been involved in a number of initiatives, working in Spain and working with us and working with many others, on employee volunteering. So please, over to you, Raphael, and to Beatrice. Please talk about your experiences. We look forward to hearing them.
Okay, hello. I hope this is working well. Thank you, Sue and Lydia, for the opportunity to present. Also, I apologize for my voice. Spring arrived rather sadly in Madrid, and with spring comes hay fever. So I hope it doesn't bother anyone. But anyway, so let's see. There we go. So yeah, Foretica has organized the Give and Gain in Spain since 2011. And we also organized it in Argentina in 2013 and 2014 through our offices there, which after that were closed and couldn't continue doing it. In Spain, we call it the International Employee Volunteering Week, although we keep the branding of Give and Gain and use it in every single one of our communications. And it is one of our main programs in community investment in Foretica, basically as a week-long celebration of employee volunteering activities. We sort of divide it into two ways of participating for our member and non-member companies and NGOs. One is what we call tailor-made, where Foretica offers employee volunteering opportunities for companies in cooperation with local NGOs. Each year we try to have a different thematic focus, just to highlight a given need based on the national context of the moment and our conversations with our members and with stakeholders. This year the focus, for instance, is social inclusion. Some of the past themes have been environmental protection or youth employability. Now, these are not by any means like sort of an exclusion criteria. We do include environmental activities in this year's Give and Gain. It's just sort of a way to guide the activity, and also a way for us to identify what we believe are the needs of our community this particular year. The other way of participating is what we call Your Way, where Foretica offers the possibility of submitting already planned employee volunteering activities This is basically done to generate a greater impact, which ties in with what Lydia was presenting earlier. Basically, companies in this case can adhere their already planned activities free of cost to the initiative. And in exchange, they're given the opportunity to use the logo, to communicate they're part of the Give and Gain initiative, and Foretica includes them in all of our dissemination and communication activities. Companies and NGOs can sign up to this, but there are, of course, requisites. Like, for instance, they have to be qualified as proper employee volunteering activities, and we review everything, just looking for like a clear role from the company and from the employees involved in it. And obviously they have to happen during the dates of the Give and Gain. In this case, as you can see in the slides, 21st to 28th of April. Yeah, finally, like something else I would want to highlight is that because we look to create as much impact as we possibly can in that week, we don't limit this to just members of Foretica. This is open to members and non-members and basically anyone that is willing to be engaged in employee volunteering activities. Wait, are the slides not working again?
Oh, no, I'm going to forward them now. I'm going to swap them now. There we go.
There you go. Excellent.
You're okay.
In terms of the benefits of the Give and Gain, I guess both for Foretica and for everyone else, one of the main benefits we have found of the Give and Gain is establishing and developing institutional relations, both at a national and a local level. It's curious that when we started being engaged in the Give and Gain in 2011, we experienced great difficulty in getting public authorities and NGOs on board, basically because the understanding that companies could play a positive role in society was essentially inexistent in Spain. In this case through employee volunteering, but really in any other way. And today, after 7 years of organizing and leading the Give and Gain here, we have finally achieved, well, we basically have a memorandum of understanding with the Ministry of Social Affairs, which includes their participation in the Give and Gain. And in the last couple of years, we have also been working on getting regions on board. And regional governments in Spain, which is nearly a federal country, are massively important. And this year we're cooperating with Galicia up in the northwest of Spain, close to Portugal, Madrid and Andalucía in the south of Spain, which is the biggest region in the country. So this has been massively important for us. Additionally, we work with local associations. They help us reach local companies that may be smaller. This is very important for us and for the Give and Gain movement, because Foretica is basically most of the members in Foretica are rather big companies in Spain. So we sometimes quite struggle to reach smaller companies and more, like, let's say, far away from the economic centers of activity, from Madrid and Barcelona. In this case, we have agreements with associations in Tenerife, in the Canary Islands, in the Balearic Islands, so in Majorca, Menorca, etc., and up north in Asturias. And these partners help disseminate the initiative locally and recruit smaller companies in order to have a greater impact there and to make sure that that impact is well extended. Another point that wasn't in the slides, but I'll mention really briefly, is it helped Foretica expand the network of associated NGOs. When we started being engaged with the Give and Gain 7 years ago, basically the number of NGO members of Foretica was minimal, whilst now 10% of our network is comprised by NGOs. So obviously, like, this has been really important for us. A further point is the external position towards the corporate sector. Clearly, the corporate sector really values the Give and Gain because it provides them a platform to basically get visibility towards existing practices and also to develop new practices and to get better at whatever it is they do to the extent that they engage in it. So clearly, us being engaged in Give and Gain and us making the effort to reach out and to celebrate employee volunteering has helped our positioning towards basically this area. A further point was that it gave us a lot of visibility in the media. Employee volunteering activities have been surprisingly popular in the media and have a great deal of interest. So it helped us develop better relationships with both mainstream and specialized media, to the point that one of the largest media companies in Spain, A3 Media, who have main TV channels or radio stations on a national level, have been the media partner of the project for the past 3 years and will continue to do so this year. And finally, another clear benefit for us is that through the sustained effort of organizing the Give and Gain for 7 years, it is now a financially sustainable program for Foretica. We operate on a sponsorship basis to cover the basic costs of communication, of a launching event, and then we charge a fee for the coordination of employee activities, the ones that are tailor-made, as I mentioned in the previous slide. This is a great achievement for an initiative that started as an EU-funded program. For it to now be a self-standing, solid project within Foretica's portfolio is a great achievement for us. So yeah, I believe that's more or less it. We're very happy that, I mean, you can see the impact numbers in the bar at the very bottom of the slide. 7,100 volunteers from 248 companies dedicating over 30,000 hours to support 50,000 beneficiaries. Those are staggering numbers, and we really hope we can continue to add impressive participation numbers and impact numbers this year. Thank you very much, and I hope it was useful.
Thank you so much. That was brilliant, Raphael. Thank you so much for both talking about the two approaches you have to employee volunteering and also the benefits of Give and Gain to you. The results that you've had already and the numbers that you've been able to generate across Spain are phenomenal. So really thank you for taking the time to share. Now I'm moving swiftly on to our to Mikel Kisser, who is from Pontis Foundation in Slovakia, and trying at the same time to move the slides over, maybe failing. There we go. So I'm hoping that Mikel's on the call.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hello, Michael. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll let you lead.
Okay. I hope I don't know how to change the slides, but never mind. I'm going to talk or was asked to talk about how we approach expert volunteering. We call it free times pro bono because we have a free programs that are dealing with this. We also do this manual volunteering. We are not participating in the Give and Gain campaign simply because we had a different date for this. So we are organizing our biggest event on corporate volunteering in June. So this was the point of our participating companies, that they want to have it before summer, when all the business activities are getting a little bit less busier. So if I can ask you to change the slide.
There we go.
All right. These first 3 slides are taken from our fundraising and fundraising material, where we explain what is pro bono, why is it good for our country, and this is material, or these are the texts that we use to approach companies to either sponsor these activities or take part as a participant. I can ask you to go to the next slide. These are some of the benefits that we communicate towards our companies, or towards companies that would like to participate in expert volunteering or in pro bono. So basically, from different surveys, we pulled out interesting data that we put in the materials, and it's really nice that you can really show the impact of expert volunteering to businesses. And we feel that if you really put some kind of a business perspective behind it, that expert volunteering also creates opportunities for you as a company, or it improves engagement of your employees and their skills. Only a CEO with really a narrow vision would say no to this, because it really clearly brings a lot of benefits to company. Not mentioning NGOs, because of course they are really always happy to receive some kind of advice or help from experts from companies. Of course, it needs to be managed in a reasonable way. Can I ask you for the next slide, please?
There we go.
Yeah. So this is pretty much continuing the from the materials that we use. So if I can ask you for the next slide, I think that these are the three main activities that we are running on expert volunteering from this year. Last year and the years before it was not structured in this way, but we think it's much easier to communicate it this way. I will start with the second one, which is in the middle, the trainings pro bono. I'll just shortly explain. These are trainings that run throughout the whole year and are organized in the on the premises of different companies. We do 1 or 2 trainings each month, and our role is only to facilitate the process and bring in the people from NGOs. The training itself is done by businesses, by experts from companies, and they can range really from some law trainings, HR trainings. It can be how to work with Excel, how to do social media. Really, we have a big range of companies in our network, so it's not really difficult for us to find good speakers and people willing to train. We had a very successful cooperation on project management, for example. It's very popular. When we have around 20-25 places for the training, we usually get around 80 or 100 applications to participate. So it's very popular among NGOs as well. So if I can maybe go back, and this runs throughout the whole year. If I can go back to the Pro Bono Marathon, it's only one day event. But that's one.
That's the one?
Yeah, thank you. It's only one day event, but we've been running this for I think 4 years. And the process, it's usually in June, but the process starts sometimes now around the beginning of April, when we are looking for NGOs that would really need some kind of expert help for longer hours, for longer time. And we work with them together with Accenture to really define their problem, like what they would like to solve in these 12 hours on the Pro Bono Marathon. And then when the problem is specified and we really know what they would like to solve, we are starting to look for people from businesses, some experts from companies, to match them with these NGOs, and they meet together on one day on one place, and the work from the morning, from 9 o'clock till like 5 or 6 in the afternoon, and they have all of them have presentations of their results of their work. So this something we have a lot of success with this, with the creative agencies and some marketing agencies that help prepare campaigns for NGOs. We have some law firms, consulting companies, IT companies. We did some CRM trainings, some CRM consultancies, HR management, HR processes, and so on. So really, it's a whole day with different topics, and it's very popular among companies. They dedicate only one day on this, but they really focus. They bring their computers, they bring everything they have to work on. So and the result is really nice. And usually NGOs then use the results in their everyday work. And if I can ask you to go to the last one. Attorneys Pro Bono. This is one of the programs. Usually in some countries there are so-called clearing houses that are trying to work with the attorneys and facilitate their pro bono work, but we have decided to incorporate it in the expert volunteering, because it's even law firms are firms, are companies, so it's pretty much the same stuff that with other businesses. It's just different topic. So we have a group of attorneys. It's like I think 20 law firms and individual attorneys that are participating in the program. And if I can ask you to go to the next slide, I think there are some.
There we go.
Yeah, we have apart from like a regular law advice for NGOs on some agreements or some copyright issues and so on. We are working with the students of law at the university, and with the help of one attorney, they are somehow trying to solve some legal problem of an NGO. And then we have a group of lawyers that assist homeless people on when they have some legal issues. And of course, we didn't want to stop here, and we wanted our lawyers to bring some systemic changes to the system, to legislation. And the first one, and very successful, was cooperation with organizations dealing with homelessness. And there is a new legislation that came out of this regarding insolvency law of individuals, which will help a lot of people in a homeless situation to deal with their they basically they would be able to do a personal bankruptcy and start all over again. And this year we are starting also with this systemic work for the kids with disabilities, and how to put their basic needs and their requirements into the law, and the law that could be or should be followed by all the offices of the government. I think
that's great.
Yeah.
There's one last slide here.
Yeah, this is just a picture from the Pro Bono Marathon last year. We called it the Happening of Innovators, and this is all of them who participated. They're both NGOs and people from business. It's very nice atmosphere over there, and very good, good positive outputs out of this.
There's a lot of smiling faces there. You can see that they had a really good day, and also looking at the different clothes people are wearing, you can tell they've been up to a lot of different activities on that day, which is nice as well. So there's a range of different things that you do. Thank you so much, Michael, for sharing what you're doing at the Pontis Foundation. To be able to facilitate the amount of skills into the community is phenomenal. So we really appreciate it. I'm now moving swiftly on. We have our partner from Portugal, Grace, who is going to speak, and I believe we have Mariana Delgado on the phone. Mariana, I'm just going to unmute you, so hopefully we can hear you, Mariana.
Hi, are you listening?
Hello.
Hi.
We can hear you loud and clear. Let me get your slides.
Okay, thank you.
There you are. Perfect.
Okay. So I'm representing Grace. I'm from Grace. Grace is a Portuguese non-association, a non-competitive platform from representing. You can next put.
Is that okay? It did it on its own, Mariana. I apologize for that. So I'll make sure it goes back if you haven't finished your points.
No, but it's okay. We represent these companies, 150 companies, big ones, medium, and very small one. And Grace means a group of reflection and support to corporate citizenship. One of the areas we support, and I'm responsible for that, is corporate citizenship through, you can put the next one, please, through volunteering initiatives. Next one, please.
Next slide.
We developed 2 initiatives free of charge for all our associates and their employees. This one is under okay, and this one is under Give and Gain Day. It's always in May, and it's for employees and their families. Children or oldest one. So last year we organized activities under the United Nations Year from International Year of Pulses. So we all the initiatives consisted in building or maintaining community vegetable gardens of NGOs.
I'm sorry, Mariana, it keeps going back. So I'm sorry to anybody on the phone who you're seeing of being flipping from one to the next, because it's I'm fighting against the slides. But do continue.
This initiative took in 3 different cities in Portugal at the same time, at the same day, gathering 350 volunteers, children, employees, and older people. So we choose initiatives and projects from the non-organizational that can be done for all persons, all the ages, for little ones and older ones. This year, and will be the next slide. This
Yay!
year, we focus our initiative, the family volunteering, under the International Year of Sustainable Tourism for Development. So we pick the 14, the tourism SDG, because in Portugal, it's a coastal and maritime tourism represent the biggest segments of tourism in Portugal also. So we are picking like initiatives, taking initiatives to, we didn't choose yet. That's why I'm just talking about the global objectives of this initiative, but will take place in May, in the beginning of May. I would also talk about our biggest corporate volunteering initiative. It takes place in October, is the next one, right? October. In every year, it's a Friday of October, and it takes place in 8 cities in Portugal. Last year was dedicated, you can put the next one, dedicated to the ocean, raising awareness, promoting change of behavior, local sustainable economies, preserving marine biodiversity, and it's an initiative where we invite to participate the employees of our associate companies and other partners, social economy, employees and clients. In a logic there, in a volunteer initiative, we all are citizens, employees, people from NGOs. They work side by side to one mission. They are pictures from the last one, and I would present you the results. The next slide, please.
Yep.
This was the assessment of this initiative. 8 cities in Portugal, more than 900 volunteers from 55 associate companies, and then all the results. They were all environmental initiatives, so the impact was mostly environmental.
Huge.
Thank you very much.
They're brilliant numbers. Thank you so much, Mariana. And it is so interesting to hear how you have taken a particular issue to Portugal and your communities around the environment and looked at ways that people could support on that. So that's great news. And we're going to move swiftly on because I think we are, everyone's been as quick as they can, but we are always against the clock. And I'm going to introduce Moira Horgan from Business in the Community Ireland. Moira, can you hear us can we hear you on the phone?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hello.
Oh, good. You heard me.
We can. There's a little bit of feedback there, Moira, but we will battle through.
Okay. Great. So thanks, everyone. I just want to bring you through, I suppose it's hot off the press. We just launched our business impact map yesterday. So a bit like Raphael, unfortunately, the media aren't as interested here in Ireland, but I'm doing a lot of chasing with PR. So we don't do give and gain day or anything like that. What we do is called the business impact map. And Lydia, I don't know if I'm being too fancy, but is there any way you can click on that link on the second slide? It's the slide, yeah.
I can definitely try.
Will we try? Cool. So this is
going to give it a go for everyone.
Brilliant.
There we go. Can everyone see that on the screen? It's going to change, yeah?
Great. So if you click, Lydia, on the company band And if you
Yeah.
choose Intel for me, yep. So if you
Choose,
scroll down,
am I choosing Intel?
yeah. So
Yeah.
what we did was, and then you can leave it there. So what we did was
Okay.
we had 56 companies. We have 86 members in total, but around 56 get involved in the Business Impact Map. It's our second year of doing it, and we collate all the details from all of our companies on the number of community partnerships, volunteering hours, cash donations, employee fundraising, and in-kind donations. So as you can see, if you click on Intel on the right-hand side, it will give you that Intel have volunteered 88,000 hours in 2016, which is quite incredible. So we always do it for last year's data. You can also search by county, as opposed by region, by city. You can search, thank you. You can search by social issue, and it's all done on Microsoft Bing technology. So you can actually zoom in to one of those red dots and actually see in more detail in your county what those actually particular issues are. So that link is available if everybody kind of wants to play around with it afterwards. So if I can go back to the slides.
Of course.
Thanks, you're so patient with me.
There we go.
So if we go to the next slide is those 56 brands. I'm sure they're members of many of your organizations as well. So I'll just go to the next slide and tell you what the big numbers were. So we calculated that around 7,000 community partnerships were formed by 56 companies. The big number and the most interesting number for me is that volunteering hours. That's 227. So over 250,000 volunteering hours in 1 year, which is quite spectacular. If you combined all the money, employee fundraising in kind, that's around 32 million that's been given to local charities and causes. We'll then go on to the next slide, which is we mapped what we're doing on the business impact against the Sustainable Development Goals. So if we can just click on the next one. Great. So we actually did kind of a top 10 list of causes that are supported by these 56 companies. And what we're trying to do, a bit like I'm sure everybody else, is educate our companies about the SDGs. So for every event that we're doing this year in Ireland, we tell our companies, our members, what SDG goals they relate to. So we know that the Business Impact Map, these are the 4 goals that were most impacted by our companies in 2016. Good health, quality education, no poverty is the obvious one, and sustainable cities and communities. And then the next slide just shows you the kind of the percentages, or it shows you the increases that we've had over the last 5 years. So we've been doing this map, and I should come back to the reason why we did it. The big reason was we wanted to communicate to our companies and our members what businesses was actually doing in the communities. There's a lot of cynicism in Ireland about big business, and there's a lot of allegations that they're not doing enough. So we actually just wanted a tool, and we wanted something that was interactive, that each company would have a link to, that they would put on their intranets, on their internets, that they would use when they're recruiting employees, because we know from multiple statistics that 85% of millennials, for example, want to work for companies who offer volunteering opportunities. So we really wanted a tool that our companies could use. And what we found over the last 5 years was total donations, so that's a mixture of cash, employee fundraising, in kind, have gone up from 21 million 5 years ago to around 32 million based on last year's numbers. Volunteering hours is the big one. It's gone up around 40%, and that's huge. And we think that's very important. I think it's a culture of, maybe during the recession, a lot of companies couldn't give extra cash to the community groups, but what they could was maybe give an extra day of volunteering leave. That happens quite a bit. Employee fundraising has really gone up from 3.1 million to 5.4 million. Again, this is based on around approximately 50 companies. Cash donations has stayed around the same, a slight decrease, and I think that's still part of the recession. Hopefully we're coming out of it in Ireland, but that idea of that, that is something that suffered during the recession. I suppose overall, just our top tips would be, and our top learnings from doing the map for 7 years is, first of all, the challenges for me as a marketeer is it reinstates the idea that CSR is just about community. That's the only challenge. So what we want to do, our big vision down the line, is to actually make this map where you can zoom in on a region or on a company and find out what they're doing in the environment, find out what they're doing with their suppliers, their own workplace practices, how they're treating their customers as well as what they're doing in the community. But that's really our vision for the future, because we want to bring it beyond the community pillar, I suppose, of CSR. The second big learning for us is the challenge around outputs and actually calculating outputs. We have improved it a bit, so on the map, if you actually zoom into some stories, you will actually hear how many people were impacted by, say, this piece of volunteering, but we haven't got the methodology yet to come up with these big numbers that were very impressive. Actually, what Grace did on the environment was really interesting, so we'd love that type of data. What really works for us as well is we did a social media campaigns. We trended on Twitter yesterday, just after Brexit, no surprise, but we trended because we created a digital media pack to all of our companies, and we made it really simple for them to actually get engaged, and it was all about employee pride. So our focus always from a marketing point of view is that the employees are the heroes of the story, because our cynical media can often say, well, if companies paid more corporation tax, that would benefit communities as well. So we really try and push the angle of employee volunteering, the fact that it's over 40 million hours this year, and the fact that employees really are the heroes of the story. So as a tool, it works very well because it's very interactive. Local politicians love it. We make sure the local government know what businesses are doing in their area. The media are quite interested. We've got some national coverage, but obviously we'd love to have more. And I think a real next step for us is making the map much wider than the community pillar, but also really have a look at what the impacts are in the community and measuring that. And finally, we launched the event yesterday with the real theme around professional skills volunteering. So those listeners doing pro bono for refugees in Ireland, or a construction company helping a local community build an extension. So that was our big focus yesterday at an event with around 150. That's the business impact map.
Great. Thank you so much, Maura. I appreciate that. It's fascinating to see the different approaches that organisations across the world take to looking at how we can get that message out of what businesses are doing, how we engage different businesses, their employees, and also, as you said, customers along with that, and how that can help as well with engaging local government with it too. And I completely agree that finding how we look at impacting is always a challenge, and I hope that one of the things that comes out of this webinar is us being able to share all together some of the ways that we've been able to do that across the network, to share best practice and get ideas from each other. I am aware we have one more speaker from iVolunteer in India, Neha, so I'm going to move slides over to there. Neha, if you wanted to, I've seen that you've unmuted yourself, so we should be able to hear you. Thank you so much for waiting this time till last but not least. Hello there.
Hi Lydia, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to be able to present ourselves. I think both Karina and me, we are like totally overwhelmed by the kind of work that every country has presented today, and I
thank you so much.
Our work will have some kind of uniqueness which you will find very interesting. So as iVolunteer, we are the biggest volunteering organization in India, and we provide different kind of volunteering solutions to all kind of volunteers, and employee volunteering is definitely one of the largest program that we run in India. And our mission is to bring volunteers and organizations together to share time, skills, and passion to promote India's social development, and all our programs are based around this mission. Lydia, if you can just move to the next slide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So employee volunteering is it is something again, like everybody else presented. It is about businesses encouraging and supporting their employees' involvement with the community, and that's for mutual benefit. And it's based on 3 elements, which are very important to us, and we don't compromise on these 3 elements, which is individual choice, which is supported by the employer. There has to be twin objective of engaging the employees and having a community impact, and there has to be recognition and accountability in order to keep volunteering ongoing and making volunteering a culture in any organization. If you can just move to the next slide, please.
Of course. There we go. Oh, wrong one.
Okay, so these are some of the partners who we worked with, and these are our ongoing partners for the past 4 to 5 years. And we have different kind of employee volunteering program for each of these corporates. And these are, I think, they're the biggest organization, they're the biggest corporations in India. Godrej, Tata Capital, Credit Suisse, and all these names that you can see here. All these programs have a very different model. So when we talk about a Citibank, we talk about a mass volunteering campaign which encourages everybody to come and get cause sensitized, which in Indian context we have still not started mapping with SDGs. But we can see the trend where people are getting more focused towards mapping it to the SDGs or the causes supported. And we anticipate that by the end of the next financial year, it would be really, the SDGs are going to really make big in Indian context. Similarly, we have we have corporations like Tata Communication, which have an year-long volunteering program, and they are very particular about mapping their volunteering program with SDGs. And the SDGs that Tata Communication supports is quality education, removing the poverty, SDG 1, SDG 4, and SDG 3. So, we have actually realized that employee volunteering is still growing in Indian context, and we are moving gradually from photo ops, which is, cause sensitization volunteering, to more skill-based volunteering, which is what I kind of want to focus on right now. So under skill-based volunteering, this slide, it's actually a little haywire. So hands-on volunteering is something which should come up, because group volunteering gives everybody an exposure to volunteering, which is through which we actually get volunteers who want to do more skill-based volunteering. So that hands-on volunteering becomes like a method for us to get more volunteers to get cause sensitized, and those who want to really continue volunteering get onto skill-based volunteering projects. Under skill-based volunteering project, we have impact projects, which are deliverable defined individual projects, which means every volunteer will volunteer for up to 18 to 20 hours in order to come to a deliverable, which will align with either HR needs of a nonprofit, or technology needs, or marketing needs, or communication needs. Very similar to what was presented by Slovakia. Similarly, we have skill marathon, which is very similar to pro bono marathon, which somebody covered before, in one of the presentation. So skill marathon is again something wherein we get a lot of volunteers together. All the projects are explained to them much before the D-Day, and the volunteers coming together, they spend a good time of the entire day, and at the end of the day, they are able to complete all the projects. So these are two very popular models of skill-based volunteering, which are picking up in India. And we have one of the corporate partners who have been engaging us, and I think they are the only ones who are so into skill-based volunteering in India right now, which is Godrej. If you just move to the next, yeah. So I'm just putting ahead this case study, wherein the objective for Godrej Industries, which is when we started 4 years back, was to inculcate the practices of skill-based volunteering among the employees, and to provide a holistic support to non-profit organization. So we wanted to kind of leverage on employee interest to give maximum support to the non-profit organization in meeting the needs of their organization. The process that we followed was we registered the volunteers, we did a profiling wherein we realized how many volunteers would really go ahead and volunteer. We moved on to identifying the NGOs and the projects which align with the volunteer interest. We conducted an orientation of the volunteer, which brought volunteer and NGOs on the same page and set the expectations right. Thereby focusing on more one-to-one meetings with the non-profits and volunteers, so that everybody knows exactly what is expected from them and they deliver exactly what is expected. That followed a periodic review and project completion. In the first 2 years, we faced a very, very difficult time. But this is the 4th year, and things are pretty they are much better than what it used to be about 3 years back. And in the current year, we actually had 39 volunteers, and we completed 19 skill-based projects with 10 non-profits, which is just one corporation who we work with. And that's how we work with these corporates. There's something which I've kind of not put on the slide here, and which is something which I do want to share, because that was one question which was asked in one of the mails, which was about what is most effective in managing employee volunteering activities. So in Indian context, I think we go by 7 practices which are extremely important and have proved very beneficial for us. So having a very nice plan, which includes the societal goals and the business goals, employee goals and the outcomes, that really helps. Having a design, which means it aligns the interests of the employees and the community needs, that helps. Of course, involvement of leadership, having great partnerships and collaboration is something which adds on to managing the activities very well for us in India. Engaging employees, which means we just don't engage volunteers, we actually follow the entire volunteering life cycle, which means it's not different than an employee life cycle. So they come, they get inducted, they get customized, they get a customized orientation, they understand the expectation, they start performing, they have a typical performance curve, and that's when we are able to reduce attrition of the volunteers, and that is something which is very important for us. Measuring the success of the project. So how are we able to? So far for us, I think it is purely numbers, except for a couple of projects wherein there has been a really great measurement. And eventually, what helps us the most is the success and growth, how the success of any volunteering program is celebrated internally and externally, and how we esteem to grow our volunteering program. So if we have all these elements in any employee volunteering activity or an employee volunteering program, I think we do a fairly decent job. And that's how we do employee volunteering in India. Karina, you want to add something?
Thank you so much, Neha. If you wouldn't mind, just to everybody who is still with us on the call, we will be sharing the recording of this presentation and can also share the slides with people if panelists are okay with us doing so. And Neha, with your 7 points around effective community and employee volunteering, would you be able to share that list with us again, just so we're able to share that with the panelists and also with the attendees? Because I think it's interesting, particularly the bit around the volunteer journey, just as the same way that you see a customer journey and a customer life cycle and an employee life, a volunteer life cycle. I think that is a really unique way of looking at the kind of experience that volunteers have with you. I'm afraid we have run over time. We hugely appreciate. We were going to have a discussion about the brilliant things that we've seen and heard from all of our panelists today. Unfortunately, I know that everybody has busy days with planning more employee volunteering activities themselves, so we won't be able to have too much of a discussion. But if there were particular questions, then as Sue said in the beginning, do pop them into the questions or the chat there, or email it to us, and we can either make sure it gets to the relevant panelists or send it out and share it more widely with the people who were all together, so we can start sharing together some of our thoughts and ideas around what we've heard today and effectively manage employee volunteering. Give and Gain, many of the people on the call today and many of our panelists are taking part in Give and Gain 2017. You can take part in it and organise your activities throughout the year and be able to tag along with all of the communications that will be taking place. So there is time to still be involved if you wanted to be on that, and we do have more information. But I wanted to pass over to Sue to just say a warm thank you from across the team.
So, thank you. Some absolutely fantastic presentations. Raphael and Beatrice, it was great to hear what you've been doing in Foretica for all these years, and the fact that it's gone from an EU-funded project to an absolutely supporting project, and you've done so much over the years, and it was really wonderful to hear how things have developed for you. And then again, for you, Mariana, to talk about the work of GRAS and how you've developed things and how you are looking and linking to the SDGs. It's just so impressive. And Michael, it was a delight again to hear from you, and I'm delighted again that you could join the presentation. And the way that things have developed there for you in Pontis, and the initiative, the marathon, the pro bono work with the attorneys, really inspirational programs that you're running. Moira, your work with the website and the work that you're doing in developing and understanding the inputs and the impact and the outputs, and really, as we all are, moving towards impact, it's so instructive for all of us just to understand where we all are, how we're all doing, and how we can learn from each other. And Neha, we really enjoyed your presentation from iVolunteer and your approach. And it's so interesting. We've had Portugal, Spain, Slovakia, Ireland, India, the UK, all talking on this call, and there's so much commonality, so much synergy, and so much opportunity to share. So obviously we've had two richer series of presentations here, and we've had no conversation, which is a real shame. So please, please, please send your questions, send your queries, send your ideas to us, and we'll share it across the group. And with your questions, we'll ask the panelists to answer those questions, and we'll share the answers with everybody, because this is so valuable. And as Lydia said, those of you who are already running programs anyway around volunteering, all of them can be part of Give and Gain from now on. We're no longer doing it in just one day, we're doing it across the year. And we can share the communications that we do around this for you and for your programs, and drive others to participate with you. So do share that with us, and we would be delighted to embrace you as well. So thank you very much indeed, everyone, for participating in the call. Your presentations have been invaluable. And for those who've sent questions, we've had lots of questions. We will respond to those questions, and thank you so much for engaging in that way. And a lesson learned here is probably we need more time on our regular calls. So we'll take a vote from you whether an hour is the amount of time that you are prepared to give up, or whether we should move to an hour and a half to really make sure we not only get such a huge amount of fantastic content, but we also get to have the conversation too. But whilst we don't have that time today, we look forward to it next time, and really reach out to all of you, say thank you, and together we really can change the way that our world operates and really make a huge difference. Thank you very much indeed, everyone, and thank you, Lydia, for organizing it, and Laura for making this all happen. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.